Live from Break Free Worldwide headquarters in Houston, Texas. With your host, Jeremy. And B-Boy Moy. And joining us tonight,
Yo, welcome, episode number 12 of Break Free Worldwide Podcast. Man, that intro was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right.
Ooh, who did that?
I don't know, but
I think it was me.
It set the tone.
Man, it was nice. So,
yeah.
I am Jeremy. This is Moy, Break Free Worldwide Live, Houston, Texas. We're feeling good today. We worked hard today to bring you a nice episode.
I worked hard today.
Yeah, well, we both did. All right, don't take all the shine. I'm not proud to. I mean, I am proud to admit that this is the most we've ever prepared for a show. So
yeah,
I think it's going to go well.
I mean, I think every episode has been getting a little bit better. So
yeah.
At least we got that.
Thank you guys.
Episode is getting a little bit better.
Thank you guys for the support. Make sure to subscribe. Shout out to our sponsors, Monster Energy, Houston Media Source, and our hearts. Our hearts sponsor us. We couldn't be able to do this without our hearts right there.
This right
there, yeah.
This.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Enough about us. We got two very special Houstonians, Houston legends here. I'm excited for tonight. You got anything to say about these two guys?
Man, all I know is one I've known for a very long time. I went to school with him. My boy, I'm gonna say his name because they don't know him by this name, but Edom.
Who?
You know, I grew up with him. I'm gonna eat him. But yeah, man, longtime friend of mine. Went to middle school together, and to see what he's doing now with the city and his whole brand and his whole world of fashion, like, I'm just excited to bring him on the show, along with our other guest, who is an icon here in Houston for fashion and for business. And so we're just excited, man. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, without further ado, from the Houston collective known as Tipping Point and also Roundhouse Vintage, the fashion gods themselves. Make some noise for Fabricio and David, y'all.
Yeah.
What's
What's the deal, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Chilling.
Yes, sir.
Wait, I'm not hosting?
No, that wasn't in the contract, bro.
I got you.
So y'all looking good.
Appreciate you.
Y'all smelling good.
Hey.
That's me.
Oh, that's you?
That's me.
Welcome, y'all.
Thank you.
This is the show.
I showered.
Wait, so before we actually get into everything, I just want to shout you guys out real quick, because mostly everybody that we ever worked with has showed up like super late.
Straight up, yeah.
Like really late.
They showed up 30 minutes before.
They've always blamed it on the Houston traffic, but like, everybody should know that our show starts at 6. You know what I mean? So we've had people, come in at 6:15, 6:20, 6:30. So we appreciate you guys being prompt and professional.
No, I was gonna be here at about 4.
I was like him.
I'm like, yo, we gotta go make this, man. We gotta be there. Hey, they text me 5:45. We're gonna be there. So I was trying to hurry this dude up because we're at the store. We decided to close early to come over here, man.
Cool.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys inviting us, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, what he said.
Yeah. So, the majority of our audience is like B-boys and B-girls, dancers, whatnot. But for the people that don't know, I guess we could start with you, David, to the journey of the tipping point in the store and everything from the beginning, because a lot of people that tune into the podcast are also young entrepreneurs, people who are looking to make a living off of their passion, cultured individuals. So that's why we invited you on the show, because we think the tipping point as a store and you as a person is a shining example of that for Houston culture. So you can just kind of begin in the beginning of what the tipping point was birthed and how it came into origin.
All right. I'm trying to think of a way to like summarize it.
It's a big question, yeah.
So it won't be like so long-winded.
It's all good. We just want to.
So basically,
I'm just here for more support.
I guess my like for clothes and stuff like that was when I was really young. In Mexico, a lot of people don't know that I was born and raised in Mexico City. So when I came to America, the whole world opened up when it came to sneakers, because when I was growing up over there, we didn't have color sneakers. We didn't have like that color or you know, they mainly look like this or like that. Like it was just it was just like white or black. And nobody really cared so much about branding, right? So when I came here, actually I'm lying. My mom sent me. She used to go thrifting, and she would always send me like secondhand clothing and stuff like that. And I was like, yo. One day she messed around and she sent me like a pair of like Jordans, like the Bordeaux Jordans, and I was like, yo, I've never seen so many colors on
planted that seed.
I never saw so many colors on one pair of shoes, and I was like, just send me. I don't care about. I didn't know what the brand was or anything. Yeah. I was like, just send me this like colorful shoes. I don't care what they are. Yeah. You know, fast forward maybe 3 or 4 years when I came here, then I saw like, man, you go to the mall and they have 17 different colors of the same shoe, and I was like overtaken by it. You know what I mean? Yeah. That kind of led to me, just kind of like really liking that. You know what I mean? Like I fell in love with it. In my journey of coming to America.
It's a good movie, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
What age were you when you came to America?
I came here when I was 13. I came here in December '96. I was 12, and I turned 13 in February. Wow. So obviously, being the culture shock, I didn't know anybody. I mean, I knew my family, but I didn't know anybody in school. Didn't know English. And so at the time, I struggled because you realize that you have to fit in, right? And in order for you to fit in, you have to look like everybody else. But I didn't want to look like everybody else. I needed to clean my shit up because I was like, throwed out and whatnot. But I didn't want to feel like everybody else. And I saw that the guys that became like really popular were the guys that all looked the same. They all had the same Jordans and Nikes or whatever they were wearing, same shirts, the same hats. And I was like, well, I guess this is what I got to do to fit in. So then I kind of dumbed myself down, right? Lost my individualism that I was very proud of at the time, because everybody's different, and you should be able to embody that.
Well, man, as a 13-year-old boy, especially a 13-year-old boy coming to a totally new place, that's something that's like you're forced into. It's like otherwise it's social suicide. Like oh, you ain't gonna rock Jordans?
Yeah, well, like
but even just hearing you talk and you mentioning that's such a mature mindset.
Yeah, well,
to want to be different, because a lot of kids, want to be, a part of that circle or whatever that circle that it may be that they're looking for. But like to say that you wanted to be different and you were just like, screw it,
I guess because my circumstances were just a little bit different. You know what I mean? My mom and my pop split when I was 1. My mom came to America, and my dad stayed over there. And my dad was in and out of prison, so unfortunately, I took to the streets when I was 6 years old. I've been working since I was 7. So I was already kind of like, I'm thinking like I'm a little bit mature than everybody in here,
Yeah,
so
you had no choice.
When I came to America, I was like, yo, I told my mom, I was like, yo, where do I go to work? Like, where's the jobs? You know what I mean? Because growing up, you hear everybody saying, oh, your uncle went to America to work, your mom went to America to work, oh, your cousins went to America. So you're like, the mindset of coming to America is to work.
Right.
So my mom is like, you ain't gonna work? What the hell? You gonna go to school? And I was like, school? I mean, I can go to school, but I can still work after school. And she was like, nah, fam, you keep your ass in school. So finally, when I was 14, I convinced her that I could work. So on the weekends, she would let me work on, everybody from the north side knows this, the airline, the Marqueta, the what is that, the farmer's market on airline at 45. That was my first job. So on the weekends, my best friend that I befriended, who was Guatemalan, his dad had a stand there, and he would let us work there on the weekends. So every weekend, like every Friday, we were working the PM on Fridays, unloading the trucks, and then Saturday we'd go on trucks in the mornings, and then we would run the stand. And so I would come home with like $200-300, for working 2-3 days, which was, I mean, for especially when you don't. So I'm sitting here working, and that's kind of like, I was able to like buy myself things that I wanted, not things that other people had that I had to have. I mean, sure, because I wanted to fit in, I wanted the girls to like me. Then I was I'm gonna wear Jordans because they like guys with Jordans. So, that was kind of like my whole. When I started to like kind of like
your passion for the movement and finding like
then I realized that I could be different. Like I could still wear the same stuff, but I'll be different. I can rock it different. And that's when I realized like style is different than being fashionable, because anybody can be fashionable with $1,000. You go to the Galleria, you buy them 2-3 different shirts from designers, and they're fashionable all of a sudden. But style is different. It's like dancing, right?
Exactly.
Everybody can have the same moves, but like the way you execute it is completely different.
It's like what we talked about a little bit right before we started the show. It's like it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
It's not what you wear, it's how you wear it.
And so that kind of I was truly like a mall rat, man. Like, I feel like my mom worked so much that like on the weekends she didn't really have to spend a lot. She couldn't spend a lot of time with us, so she would drop us off at the mall. And she's like, hey, you guys go over there and you're window shopping for like 10 hours, you know what I mean? And eventually like people in the mall started noticing me, and I started making relationships at Meet them all. And like one of my homies, he's older than me, but he would always like hook me up with the shoes. So every time he would see me at the mall going for the Jordans, because the Jordans used to drop like in the middle of the week, like Thursdays, like probably like Thursdays, or I want to say Thursdays, and
it was between Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for sure.
And so I would go before like school started, and then like get my shoes and then go to school. They would give it to us early as long as we were able to get a couple of pairs for him, because he used to flip them on the side. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I was like, okay, cool, I like this sneaker, stuff. And then in the north side, my homie's big brother used to work at Champs, so then I didn't have to go over here no more. It was easier because then I went to school in the north side. So before first period started at 8 in the morning, we already came back with the new shoes. We already, we had 5 shoes for the older brother, and like our reward was to be able to buy them early. So that's kind of how it started. And then the business started from me meeting this guy. He used to be a regional manager at Foot Locker, and he kind of told me about the project when I was in culinary school. He told me about this project that we're doing. They were like, we feel like Houston, just Texas in general, really is missing like a true boutique, like somewhere like people feel special shopping, not like the mall. And then like at 22 years old, like they involved me in the project, and I was like, cool, like I'm with it. So I worked myself into the situation, helping them with the shop and whatnot, the design of the stuff. And I started with 3% sweat equity, and just kind of built myself up. And I put in so much work that, because they were a little bit older, they were like, yo, you're like the face of it, because like you actually wear like the kicks and you wear the hats.
You're the relevant one.
Yeah. So then I became like, and then that's kind of how it came about. Like social media came about, and I started putting like David_tipping. Yeah. And like to this day, people actually think that's my last name or something. They're like, oh, yes. Everywhere I go, they're like, oh, I thought that was your last name. So, that's kind of how the shop came about. And, like I said, when we started, we didn't have social media. It was all relationships.
What year did y'all start?
We started in 07. In 2007, we started the design store in 06.
And the OG store was located?
1212 Main. It was, where the pavilions are? So the pavilions used us as a pilot to be able to kick that whole project off, because they were like,
that's crazy.
The city of Houston, the downtown management district, they offered us a grant, and they're like, there's a huge project waiting to happen, because in front of the tipping point there was 3 blocks of just parking lot. Yeah. And they offered us a grant. They're like, if we give you guys a grant to help with the build out, you guys were doing us a great favor to kind of initialize like the downtown shopping experience, which never kicked off, by the way. But we were used as a pilot to do that big project after we opened. And we sat down with the project developers, and then they were like, hey, what makes you guys want to open here? And we're like, man, why not? Like downtown is so dope. You know what I mean? Every city in America has a downtown vibe, and we don't.
Yeah, still don't.
Yeah.
Really.
So
it's getting a little better, but
I mean, that's the first thing that everybody asks me. Like when we have friends. I mean, we know friends from all over the world, and so when they come in town, they're always like, "Let's go to downtown." I'm like, no, I don't even want to like take them by there. I mean, there's really nothing to do. I know that there's slowly things starting to pop up, but you compare it to, like you said, other downtowns, it's like they're booming.
Yeah.
But now it's different. Like if your friends come from out of town and they want to have a drink or something, it's really popping now. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's getting there.
Right around the area you guys are in now.
Yeah,
in 2004,
we're there now. So it's popping.
we had the first Super Bowl in 2004, right?
Yeah.
That management district team did so poorly managing downtown that they literally opened nothing but clubs, and we saw how long that lasted. Right? It came and went. And I think this group, the second group of that revitalization, is doing a good job because they're making businesses that are gonna stay there. Like they're opening restaurants instead of opening clubs, right? So now they're opening restaurants. There's bars, and a bar doesn't rely on the dress code or anything. If you got money, you can come spend it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, I think that's what's cool. Like the mentality is different now. Like now people are taking care of downtown. The buildings that were abandoned when I came in '96, they're not abandoned anymore.
Yeah,
They're
that's
actually
awesome.
inhabited. They're all rehabilitated. Historic buildings. The building that we're in, it's a historic building.
Yeah.
So I can't really deface. Like if I want to paint the front, I have to go through the Texas Capitol to be able to do that. So you know they're taking care of downtown, and it's good to see because I mean I've been in there for 11 years. You know what I mean? So it's good to finally see sustainable businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
So for somebody that's never been to the store, can you kind of explain the experience, the vision behind it, what you're trying to curate, like what energy they feel when they would come into Tipping Point?
So I think this this new store we opened 2 years ago almost. It's kind of like a culmination of the mistakes that I made and that I learned from, and the experiences that I learned from and that I gained from back in the day.
From the first store.
Yeah, from the first one. I mean, when I was 22 and the other guys were a little bit younger, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just wanted to do something that wasn't here before.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot through like making errors in like the business, the buy-in, right? The bad buys and the good buys. Because a lot of people don't understand with a business like mine, it's a small business, and a bad buy like of $20,000 can just put you out of business. You know what I'm saying? So what I became is I became the buyer. So I became like, okay, what do I like? And what I like, and I would seek those brands. But then I realized that I can't buy for
what you like
for me.
Yeah.
I have to buy for the people.
Yeah.
Because a lot, like, I realized that my style at the time was like way too crazy. You know what I mean? Just like when you're 22 years old, like your ideas are just too radical. You know what I mean? So I had to hone them down. But we introduced a lot of brands, like brands that weren't here before, like Visvum and Double Taps and Neighborhood. Like nobody was doing that. You know what I mean? And when I had Neighborhood, people were like, yo, like, who's going to pay $100 for a T-shirt? And I was like, I would, so why would you not, you know?
Yeah.
And then I lost my ass because I didn't know that I had to dumb it down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, just learning through that now, what we do now is I realize that kids live in their phone, this new generation, everything's fast. So right when you walk into the store, it's a big neon sign. People are like, oh. And it's like a flycatcher.
Yeah.
You know, they take out their phones and they do the marketing for you now.
Yeah.
When you walk into the main showroom, like there's a huge slide that we designed that is just like eye-grabbing. And then like the transition from my shop, you know, we brought in a different element. I'm a big fan of Fabricio. When you walk into the back of the store, there's a tunnel. It's a light tunnel, and I'm very much into art, so I wanted to do a homage to a couple of artists, Dan Flavin,
James Terrell.
and James Terrell. Those are the two people that I was like, if I could create like a bastard child of them both, what would it look like? And that's kind of what we came up with the middle of the store. And then like in the back, it looks a little bit, you know, we shout out to other people that have any small businesses, but like, you know, especially with shopping and stuff. You know, we wanted to do something special. I wanted to do something special with Fabricio because I feel like in the vintage game, he's kind of like what I am in the streetwear game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he's
yeah.
like an OG. He's been doing it for a long time, and I feel like people were not appreciating him like that. So I was like, I got tired of like people saying, hey, I'm going to do something in the back with you. Let's do something. And it just never happened. And then one day I looked at his phone and I was like, dog, you ready to do something? And he was like, shit, let's go. And I was like, well, let's make it happen.
That's literally how it happened. Like that conversation.
So, you know, I know, you know, you gave us, a glimpse of your story, but like, you know, Fabricio, I've known you for a long time, man. And like, we've always been into like, you know, buying some dope gear and all that stuff, even from the 90s to today. But like, tell us how you stuck with it, you know, because a lot for everybody that's watching, you know, Fabricio is I would say he's an icon in the city of Houston for, you know, kind of revamping the vintage fashion here, you know, and a lot of people go to him with questions and ideas and concepts of how to, you know, get involved or, you know, market something. And I know I've, you know, hit you up before, be like, hey man, does this shirt work or anything? Because, you know, I'm pretty lucky when I go thrifting. I don't go thrifting a lot, but when, you know, I'll go and find like a shirt for like $1 and it's worth like $500. Like it happens to me, but you know, Fabricio's a guy, man.
The show's
so,
about them.
So tell us a little bit about like what kept you in, or what made you come back, or you know.
Right. Well, I mean, I think I've been a fan of the b-boy world since I met you, pretty much. And I've always been like in the scene. I've always been like the YA days, from TBH to the Hold Downs and all that stuff. So I'm a geek for that, for the b-boy scene, big time. And I want to say that scene really helped me look at the clothing, because I always thought, man, the b-boys are the freshest dudes, man. Because coming from the South Side, like I said back in the day, it was just about Jordans and starched down jeans, and you were dope, you know. Right. I mean, not to knock any of that anymore, but the b-boys always had a different flavor, you know, and that really caught my eye with it. And then like I'm not the OG of the vintage. I don't like to claim that.
Well, we call you that. So that's what you are now.
Yeah. But like I got influenced by a real good friend of mine called Paul Cantu. Shout out to Paul Cantu. Yeah. A big YouTuber.
Thrift God, baby.
Thrift God, for real. But I started seeing his videos, and then like started seeing the stuff he found and like the thrift stores he went to, and I was like, yo, I know where that's at. But I started going myself and seeing all this stuff that I remembered from back in the days, from the b-boys, from the 90s culture, pop culture, everything like that. And then it just started incorporating, like finding it more and more, not knowing that I was gonna do something with it. I just started grabbing it because I thought it was cool clothing. I did go originally for me, but I started getting stuff that wasn't my size. It turned into one like little bin of clothing, to 2, to 3, to 4, and then I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do with all this stuff.
And then one of your wife was like, what the hell is all this?
My wife was, oh man. Now she's cool about it.
But to kind of contribute to that, kind of rewinding, you've thrifted your whole life.
Yeah. We had to back in the day. My mom, being a single parent, thrift stores were normal to us. I used to hate it. I used to hate going. She used to take us with her. There used to be one on
Harrisburg?
Yeah.
That's the one I used to go to with my mom.
But the cool thing about that one used to be they used to have an upstairs where it was like toys. So we'll just go up there and go play with the toys while they're thrifting and stuff. And anyways, that's where it came, like knowing the thrift stores and knowing like what to look for.
But what year was it, would you say, that you started like seeing Paul Cantu?
Man, I want to say that's 2016.
Yeah,
it's not that long ago. 2016, and then.
And like, when did you make your first sale?
My first sale was through my. It was a funny story, man. It was through my personal Instagram. I posted this shirt, man, and just I guess I was like being super hype beast, and I found this tie-dye-ish type of shirt that it looked very similar to one that Kanye was wearing, and I posted it on my IG like, hey, you can find Yeezy fashion at the thrift. And then somebody DM me like, yo, I want to buy that shirt. I'll give you $150 right now. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, yo, I don't even know anything about this. Like, it's just
how much did you buy the shirt for?
For $2.
Wait, did you sell it to him for $150?
Yeah, I ended up selling it to that guy. And then
shout out to that guy.
Yeah, I don't even remember. Man. Shout out to you, guy. I don't remember who it was. My bad. But and then it happened again with the Selena rap tee, and that one was like one of the dopest finds I had. And I put it on my personal. And then it sold pretty fast too, so I was like, yo, I need to start doing something. And that's when I created Roundhouse. And it just started taking off from there, not knowingly, you know, I was just doing it for fun.
I don't mean to interrupt, but tell the story behind the name.
Yeah. Shout out to Round 2, man. They're definitely a big influence to what I do, to this culture, whatever. But that's not where I got my name, man. My name came up, me and my homie, shout out to Ronnie. Me and my homie, we're the creators of Roundhouse. We were just sitting back talking about, like, you know, this vintage stuff is dope. Let's create something, and like, man, let's do something that me and you have in common. And he's a gamer, and the only game that I ever played and that he ever played was Street Fighter. So I'm like, yo, let's do something with Street Fighter. His name is Street Fighter Vintage. This, and Vintage. And I'm like, nah, it didn't work. And then I finally said, who's your favorite character? And we're like, Ryu, man. Ryu had the dopest roundhouse kick, you know? Like, that was the first image I saw of Ryu, boom, doing the roundhouse kick.
Wait, but did you try that kick before, like physically?
Man, nah, man, you know, bust my ass. We had to try it before we officially named that Pokemon.
You want to rip something?
Yeah. Nah, and that's where originally my name originated from Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter.
So you started making these sales. You made the first couple of sales on your personal. So when did you decide, after making the name, to start this business page? And
I honestly, like, I didn't think about being in a business. Like, it was just fun. I just recently made it a business page when we got the store, but it was still just a fun page for me. It still is. And like I don't have like, it's funny to say, I never had a blueprint to like, yo, this is what's gonna happen, this is what's gonna do. It just happened.
But I think from experience, I think that's some of the best moments of it is that, you know, it's still fun. I think that when you can treat your job, you know, because I would say now it's becoming a job, even though it still may be a hobby. It's still, I mean, if it makes you money, it's a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And yes, it's a side hustle, but at the same time, I think when people forget to have fun, then that's when it becomes a problem, and that's when people get tired of things, and you know, they start to grow old with these things that just don't make sense anymore in their life. But it's just like with like breaking, like, you know, I've been breaking for 23 years, but I also do other things. Yeah. If I strictly just did breaking, I probably won't be breaking, you know, because you have to find ways to keep it fun, you know, and that's tough. And what I was going to say is like, you know, you say like, you know, it just became a business, but you also have a full-time job, right? Yes. I got a full-time job. What's your full-time job?
I work for an electrical company. I'm a technician for them, but I'm in a pretty good position that it lets me have some downtime. So that's how I get my.
And that's how you kind of work your way up to have that flexibility, you know. Because the reason why I want to bring that up, because I knew that about you, you know, but like a reason why I want to bring that up is because a lot of people kind of see, you know, they may be looking at you guys and be like, I want to be them, or they may be looking at us and I want to be them, but they don't know what we've been through, right? It's like they see the glory, but they don't know the story, right? They've never been through all that. So now younger kids, they're immediately tied to what they see, and they want that position immediately. So they don't know how to go through the alphabet, right? They like to go from A to D without going through B and C. And so it's like you've been able to put in work with your, you know, this corporate company that you work for, or this company that you work for, and now they trust you so much that now you have this flexibility, and you've learned how to take advantage of that flexibility in a positive way to create something fun, but at the same time now it's, you know, developing a business, you know, and I think it's really dope. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up, because, you know, we struggle with that too. You know, we're artists. We make mistakes. We're continuing to make mistakes, but it's making the same mistake over and over that becomes a problem. And we're constantly learning from it. But like for everybody that's watching, it's difficult to understand like the mind of an artist, you know, because it's like 24/7 nonstop going. But the number one thing that I know that we focus on personally is like just priority. Like what's priority first? Take care of that, and then everything will just be added onto you. You know what I mean? Like it really will just come to you. And I think that even with Break Free, some of the things that we've done, it's been surreal. I'm like, wow, I just can't believe, you know, we have nearly, you know, 200 students, but like we just love to teach kids. You know, we love to do it, and it's gotten to a point to where, you know, Jeremy and I are teaching less because we have to manage so much. You know, but I'm sure it's becoming the same way too. Maybe you guys don't have that much time to thrift anymore. That's you might have to tell your wife like, hey, man, you're gonna have to hit this up because.
Yeah, that is like one of the things that I'm struggling with now is balancing both my full-time job and managing the store and thrifting, because thrifting, I still love to thrift. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm out there thrifting, and I don't have as much time as I used to, but I wish I did.
Well, I think it's a good point. Earlier, we were kind of talking about the idea that like you didn't view this as a business. It was something that you naturally just, you know, developed because you loved it and you kept it going, and it's naturally turned into a business with David, and even before that with your page, you know. It's kind of the way of you posting it on your page, on your personal page, and making your first set like that. I think that's beautiful and that's dope, because I think the people who are most successful in a certain art form or area are the people who started without the intention of making money and making a business off of it. It's the same thing you could say for us. You know, we learn as we go, and we didn't, you know, when we first started dancing, we want to make a school with a bunch of kids in it. You know, Break Free didn't start as an idea for a school. It started as a place for people to come and practice, and then developed into that.
What people don't, I don't mean to cut you off, but what people don't know is that, you know, for the first 2-3 years of Break Free, it was absolutely free.
Yeah,
you know,
I remember that.
So it was just, you know, breaking's a part of us, and I think vintage fashion is something that's a part of you, and I think streetwear and everything, all the components to tipping point, are something that's just embedded within your nature, within your heart, and you through your hard work and through all these other additional components that's absolutely necessary for people to start a business. I think it just organically came out like that. And I can attest to you. I want to talk a little bit more about the vintage fashion game, because around that time that you started Roundhouse, I started to sell as well, and you were a big inspiration for me. And I can attest to how much you love thrifting, because I would pull up to these, I stay around the same area as you, and I would pull up to Goodwill and Value Village, and I would see your electric truck in the parking lot, and I'd be like, this fool beat me to the store, bro. And I would go in, and you already had a handful of stuff, man. And
this I knew
happened so many times.
He was heavy in it, because I would always thrift since I was a kid. Because
I remember y'all had an event one time, and y'all had vintage windbreakers.
Bro, let's talk about the glory days.
Hold on. So I just used to go buy windbreakers because it was like a b-boy thing, right? So I would always try to go find the old school Adidas suits, the old school Puma suits, because I grew up watching my brother in the '80s break, and so it was just a thing. I wanted to be a part of that movement.
Probably around 2013.
And putting a jacket on made me feel like I was a part of the movement.
2013, 2014, we would be like,
he almost fought me one time in Goodwill because I found a dope jacket, and I found it first, and I had my hands on it, and he was like, "Let me have it, bro. Let me have it." I saw it too. And I'm
for
like,
people that don't know, Break Free is located in South Houston, right near Spencer Highway, where there's 10 thrift stores, and
you don't want to give out that.
Well, whatever.
So hold on.
No.
Wait. This is what I was gonna say though. When I found out that Jeremy was heavy in it, because I would go to the thrift store and he was like, "No, you got to go Thursday at 8 a.m. because they restock it and then they come back out."
Your game right now. He's tripping.
I'm just trying to find a windbreaker.
So we around 2013, 2014, we would take breaks. We would finish our work and be like, "Hey, let's run to the thrift store real quick." And this is 2013, 2014, before the vintage game exploded, and we would go every time and find something dope. Adidas,
we had a lot more time on our hands,
bro. Yeah, but we this is before whatever the vintage game is now was, and I'm sure you can attest to this too. Now it's much harder. Now there's so many resellers and all this, but we were finding Nike Adidas windbreakers all the time. We did some
gray tag, blue tag,
90s windbreakers, and then I kind of stopped. I went to Canada for a while, stopped there, then I came back. Really invested a lot of time in the Break Free, and then I started thrifting again more. And then you're like, "Yo, you see, my boy Fabricio, he's doing this. Check out Roundhouse." I was like, "Damn, this is crazy," And I remember I met you at Goodwill. It was the first time I met you.
When I was with Fabo?
Yes. Yeah. Which is a funny story too. But your boy, yeah. But yeah, man. Then this was probably 2016, 2017. I started selling heavy on Depop, on Grailed.
We did
on
Gift
eBay.
Fresh.
We did Gift Fresh. The pretty much what hip hop vintage flea market is now. It was the precursor for that, and we threw that.
Yeah, shout out to you, man, for reaching out. I remember you hitting me up. You're like, "Hey, man, we need to talk." Thinking about doing this market, and that's when I went to Break Free, and we just talked about it randomly, and within a week we had it already set, and it did real good, man.
But so I just wanted to ask for you. The question I was getting to was how do you view the game now? How do you view the explosion of it? Because me, I love it. I love thrifting, but I think again, you're the person you don't like the word, but I consider you the OG. You're the one who's inspired me, and what breaking is to me, that's what vintage fashion is to you. So I kind of have a pessimistic view. I look at the vintage game now, I'm like, man, these fools. I have a pessimistic, but I'm
curious.
The
b-boy in you.
Yeah. Man, these fools don't know. They're just in it for the wrong reasons, and that's why I took a step back from it, because everyone started doing it.
Yeah, so you were finding some heat too, man.
Yeah, man, but I took a step back because a lot of things because of time, but it was just man, so many people are doing it. I'm not the type of person to. It's not breaking for me, so I'm not going to invest my time in it, So how do you view it now? And there's so many resellers. You mentioned Round 2, how Round 2 has exploded. How do you view the game?
I guess the best way to compare it here would be the breaking scene to me. At one time, I remember back when we were in middle school, everybody wanted to break dance. Mm-hmm. Everybody, and the gangster dudes wanted to break dance. Mm-hmm. Everybody was break dancing back at one time, and then slowly, the real ones that really enjoyed it, or that were doing it for a passion, for doing it for a reason, those are the ones that stayed and became somebody. So I want to say that's what's happening in the vintage scene right now.
The explosion of it
is real, man. Everywhere you go, it's so harder to find good stuff at the thrift stores now. Everywhere you turn, there's a new page popping up doing resale. And shout out to them, man. It's a hustle. I understand it. But it being so big, it's gonna make people want to stop too because they're not finding as much anymore. The established names are the ones that are getting like the people, and like, so I feel like within time the real ones are gonna stay behind.
Well, I think just in general that's just the real challenge. Like you said, the real ones will keep going. You know, the real ones. That's the challenge because it's easy to start breaking. It's easy to go and become this thrifter, you know, this vintage god or whatever you want to call yourself, you know? Like, it's easy to do those things to start because it's a trend. A lot of people are doing it, you know? But long term, does it create something sustainable for you? Like, if I start thrifting right now, and if I'm not making money or if I'm not doing it the way you guys are doing it, then it's going to discourage me, you know? Then that means I didn't start with passion. I started because I saw you making something from it, putting a little extra in your pocket, you know, but they don't know that you started from passion. They don't, like I said, it goes back to what I was saying. They only see what they see, right? They have this like surface value, and that is it, right? But they don't know everything behind it. But that's just in everything. That's the challenge. Is how many people will actually stick through it. You know,
I feel like something to touch on is something you said. Like, I feel like everybody wants everything so fast now. I was talking yesterday with a couple of other guys that I want to do a little project with, some creative people, and I was just telling them how all these kids now, they're like 18, 19, 20, 21, and I consider them kids because to me they're kids.
Because we're old.
Yeah, because we're old, basically.
Okay, speak for yourself.
But I feel like I see some of these profiles and it says creative director.
Influencer,
I'm like,
entrepreneur.
Creative director of what? You know what I mean?
Say
Like,
that in your tax return.
Can you report? Do you report taxes? You know, and I'm just like, everything is so fast now because of social media and because of, you know, the way that these kids are living their life now, and I just don't see any appreciation for things anymore. You know what I mean? Like, for the sneaker, like the sneaker culture. You know what I mean? Like, I started in the sneaker culture because I really liked it. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't know that, like, my job, like, a lot of people don't know that I'm a chef, that I cook for 16 years to just be able to do what I'm doing now because this was my hobby, right? So my hobby turned into like my everyday job. But before that, my first hobby was like cooking. Like, I fell in love with cooking, and but I that was sustainable. I can always go to a restaurant and make money, but like my hobby was collecting sneakers. Now, like, I stopped working for somebody else 2 years ago, and now I'm just working for myself. You know what I mean?
What I do like, though, I know exactly what you're saying, and I agree that, you know, the kind of the immediate access to all these resources, it kind of kills it, you know. But at the same time, it has its pros and its cons, right? So what I like about it that is great is that you'll see a lot of young kids kind of bring out this entrepreneurial spirit, right? Which is an awesome thing because now you see young kids really try to find a way to make a living off their passion. You know, I'm gonna tell you right now, the way I grew up, you know, my parents didn't want me to dance for a living. You know, they didn't want me to do that, you know. But the moment I started coming on TV, they're telling all my tias and tios, hey, boys, you know, but it's like the entrepreneurial mindset that kids develop, I can really like dig that. I can really dig that. And I'll tell you this too, because I've always been a fan of sneakers too, you know, since I was a kid. And I remember in the early 90s, you know, between 1990 and like 93, 94, you would hear a lot of stories about kids getting jacked, you know. And nowadays, that's even becoming a thing too. You know, if you got these Facebook groups, people selling sneakers, and they do these meetups where they're trying to exchange money. You know, I like the idea that if, you know, someone's trying to sell a sneaker to make some money, cool. I like the entrepreneur side of it. But, you know, we still got to be careful. But it does, I would say, it still does develop a safer way of doing things, right? And a much better way of doing things. So, you know, kids can, you know, don't necessarily, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they don't necessarily need a degree to go start something that they want to do, you know? And I'm not saying don't go to school, because education is important, right? Like, I'm still going to school. But at the same time, it's like, you know, when people learn to pursue their passion, and as long as they're looking in the right direction for the right feedback and for the right direction, I believe that they'll get what they're looking for, you know. And I think that whether it's selling sneakers or selling clothes, I think it's a fresh start. I think it's cool, you know.
I'd much rather that, and I always say this, right, like resellers, when the resale hype started, I was like, man, like, why? You know what I mean? Like, people that have been in the game for a long time, the first thing we did is like, oh, these kids, like, they're messing up the game. This shit is not what it used to be. And you're right, it's not what it used to be. But I much rather see kids flipping sneakers than selling pounds and ounces.
So
you know what I'm saying?
That's my point.
Yeah. But also, like, what I was trying to make the point of saying is that kids nowadays, they're afraid to hustle for their dream. Like, prime example, and I always give it, and I never give out his name, but it's a little homie of mine. One day I walked into a restaurant and I saw him, and he saw me. He didn't think that I see him, but, you know, he just kind of like hid behind a pillar.
Startled him.
And he like walked to the back, right? So I'm in the restaurant with my lady, and like, I'm in there, so eventually he's going to have to come out of the kitchen. So he came out, and he acted like he had just seen me. I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, yo, you good? He was like, yeah, man, you know, just working, man. And I was like, oh, this is tough, man. I didn't know you worked in the restaurant business. Little did he know that I was about to just relate to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, man, but I don't really like people looking at me like here. You know, I don't like because he has a little following. He's a photographer. He has a good following on IG. He's got like 10, 12,000 followers, right? And I'm like, yo, but why are you ashamed? And he's like, yo, it's because, you know, this is like my day job. And I was like, yo, everybody has to have a day job, bro. Like, you think that I automatically just one day woke up and started working for myself? Nah, man, like, you shouldn't be ashamed of going to work to pursue what you're trying to do. Like, if you want to be a photographer and this is the only way for you to you pay for gear, for like camera, lenses, whatever, then yo, this is something to be proud of, celebrated.
Sure.
My grandpa always told me, don't be afraid of getting your ass kicked at work, because when you come home, that beer is just as fresh as it was. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it was like, don't be ashamed to like work for what you want. Like,
I think that goes into the topic of like embracing who you are, and embracing your circumstances.
But I feel like because
does he know that if he embraced that, then probably his following would increase.
But I would have just told him like, yo,
honesty,
I worked in the restaurant business for 16 years, 17 years. You know what I mean? Like, just to get to where I'm at now. It doesn't mean that like it makes me anything less of an entrepreneur now than it did before. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you should never be ashamed to go work honestly to make your dream come true. And I feel like that's the only difference. Like, if they like, no matter what, man, we have to keep a job, we have to provide for ourselves. Nothing is given. You have to earn everything. It's like all these little
memes that you see on Instagram where they show the little arrow of the entrepreneur, and it starts from here, and then the little arrow goes all the way up to the money.
Yeah.
But I like the other one that's always like, that's the real entrepreneur,
that
right?
is.
Because some days I wake up and I'm like, why am I still doing this?
Exactly.
I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to do this no more.
Because a lot of people come up to, I'm sure to you, they're like, yo, man, I want to do what you're doing. And I'm like, yo, you don't want this problem. So like,
exactly.
Like, yo, I just had to pay these taxes. Like, if I show you my taxes that I just paid, you wouldn't want to do this. You know what I mean? Because they see what they want to see. And I feel like...
But I will say this. I rather live broke and love and enjoy what I do than to be stuck somewhere else making money and be miserable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's tough because, you know, I have friends in the corporate world, and I have, you know, family in the corporate world, and they have no time. They have no time for their families. They have no time for anything else, and they're not doing anything, you know, and I don't want to sound like I'm talking bad about it, but I just, like, creativeness is important. Like, you have to find something to really, like, bring out this artist. And I really believe everybody, in some way, some shape or form, is somewhat of an artist.
My wife is not. She'll tell you. And I'm sorry, babe, but, like...
Dude, I thought the same thing about my wife. I thought the same thing about my wife. And then she started making fanny packs and all kind, and I was just like, what? It's like, hold up, girl, what's up? It's like a whole new girl, you know? But, you know, like, seriously, like, the creativity, I think that, like, us humans, you know, we carry, it's important. But I just think that, you know, kind of what we all talked about is just like, I don't think that deep down inside we believe it's not there. We believe, and that's the moment everything diminishes.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, like, the first time you fail, a lot of people don't want to try it again. Like, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, because it's scary.
Yeah, once you fail that first time, it's hard to come back from it.
It's like skateboarding. I tried skateboarding for like 2 weeks, and then I fell like 3 times, and I was like, nah, this ain't for me.
See, that's different if it hurts. I'm like,
yeah, I'm not doing it. But I feel like being an entrepreneur, it hurts, man. Like, it hurts sometimes, like, when you know, you're right there, man. You just, that little push that you need, sometimes it doesn't come, and it discourages a lot of people. And I feel like people just, I always say that a negative reaction 9 out of 10 times sticks with you more than a positive reaction. So that little thing that didn't work out, it always hinders people, and that's when they stop pushing and they just succumb to the corporate world and to working for somebody else. You know what I mean? I believe that. I mean, you know, if you don't work one way, like I always tell my wife, because she's always like, hey man, like you should just learn from what people tell me. I'm like, that's not how I ever learn. Never. Like if somebody would have told me, hey David, this pot is hot, don't touch it, I'd be like, well, let me touch it, let me see. Oh yeah, it's hot, or not. It's not that hot for me, you know, because by doing that, like me, like experiencing that, like let me try it. If it don't work, then cool, but at least I tried it. Other people, they just learn by other people telling them, hey, don't do this, and they're like, oh, I'm not gonna do it because it didn't work out for him. But you never know, because everybody's made different. We're all built different, and what may work for you might not work for you, might not work for me, might work for him. You know,
and
so
that's
just
why partnerships are really important. Exactly. You know, that's why partnerships are really important, because you know what vision he has is very different from yours, but it together can only be much more successful if it's.
Right. I mean, that's one thing that I owe a lot to David is, like, you know, I'm very antisocial. I want to say I don't talk much and this stuff. And
yeah, you're
I can tell, bro.
Yeah, I'm a weirdo. Yeah.
Halfway off the stage.
Yeah, I know, my bad. But he really helped me, like, to
Your beast laugh.
to let me know that I'm doing something good. You know, like he's the one that pushed me, like, yo, you're doing something good. Let's bring it. Let's go further. You know, and that's how we really like. That's what I owe to him. Like, he really pushed me to know that I'm doing something.
I believe that you should tell people when they're doing a good job, and when
And
you know
when they're doing a bad job.
and when they, yeah, exactly, just the same way. Because I feel like you, like I was just telling Moy, like it's crazy that like I used to look like I also wanted to break dance. I also actually danced when I was in middle school and a little bit of high school, but I never got brave to go in the circle, right? But I was always like seeing who was like tied and stuff, and you know. I remember looking up to Mario, right? Shout out to Mario. I never in a million years would have thought that I was gonna be his kid's godfather. Like never, you know. And it just kind of happened. I'm like, man, like that's crazy. Like now, everything that we all grew up, everything is relative. Like we all think that we're like so far apart, but reality is like people like that are doing anything creative in the city, they're more linked than we're not. You know what I mean? And just whenever he's doing, like I commend that what he's done for the city and what he's done for dancing in Texas, and I commend what you've done because it's commendable. Like you should always give people the roses when they're alive, because one day they're not going to be here. And you know, like that's what keeps me going. Like who's going to be here if I die right now? Who's going to come to my funeral? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always willing to help people and kids, because you know, I didn't have somebody to help me. I didn't have somebody to say, hey David, like let me show you the way. Right. So I'm always the one that's like, okay, you got that idea, you know, I always tell people I'm going to give you two choices. You want me to give you the real, or you want me to give you what everybody is going to tell you, which is your friends, they should be the ones to hold you accountable. They should tell you like, yo, the shit is whack, bro. We need to work on it more. Right. Or maybe not that brutally honest, but they should tell you like, yo, it's not. But instead, like people around your circle, they're the ones that tell you, oh yeah, it's tight. So you grow up thinking this idea is tight. And then like when you do it and you present it to the world, it's not that tight.
I think the biggest thing that I've seen in my experience is sometimes we were talking about a person who really looks out for you, you know, or pushes you. A lot of times I've seen a lot of things that turn out to be sad is that sometimes people don't realize who that person is. They can't recognize who it is. Either that, or they will recognize that person and then they'll fight it. Like they won't recognize it themselves because they're not ready to put in the work or level themselves up in that way to really take that full step.
You've heard it a lot in our community, you know, in the hip-hop community. It's like you don't know what you got till it's gone. You know, it's like once Tippy Point's gone, people are going to be like, dang.
That was the spot, you know, and that's
exactly. Once Break Free's gone, dang. Or once this, you know, and that's why the way we kind of do things, the culture that we create is just like, man, like, things could be seasonal, even though your vision can be like grand. And you could want this and want that. Like you gotta live to the fullest and live in the moment and do as much as you can in that time. Why? Because seasons change. You know, seasons change, and you never know. You never know. You know, and I know it's very cliche, but when we say anything can happen when we walk out the doors, you know, it's the absolute truth. So just in anything that you do, it's like, yo, fully do it. You know, it's kind of like when I was telling you, when we talked about doing a podcast, it was like, man, I didn't want to just do a podcast, you know, like everybody else is doing. I was like, man, I want to make it like a talk show. I want to create a set. I want to do this. I want to do that. Even if there's two people watching or two people listening, at the end of the day, it's like we're going all out. And you got to set a standard, because it could be a season, you know. or it could be 10 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know, but in the moment, let's give people the best and give them some good information and some good stories, because it's inspiration.
Yeah.
And a lot of people they're like that. At times I'm trying to find new inspiration, so I'm constantly searching for something new, because we shouldn't
be afraid to learn.
Exactly. And there's a ton of things out there, but I think it's also the people that are leading and influencing, it's also time for them to step up and go a little above and beyond. We get so comfortable doing what people want, or telling people what they want to hear, that it's not enough. Like, what I'm saying? Give them a little extra. I teach my champions class every Tuesdays and Thursdays here at Break Free, and one of the number one things is I tell them that is I was like, you got to stop hanging around with the people that tell you that everything you do is dope, because it's not. I'm gonna tell you right now, everything you do is not dope. And I grew up around a lot of people that told me that everything I did was dope, and I knew just my own discernment was like, I got to step away, because it's not gonna make me better. How can someone get better if they're already that dope, or they're already that good? You can't get better. You know what I mean? So you have to have people. You need that accountability. That's a strong word, and a lot of people toss that word around lightly.
Yeah.
Accountability.
Just like they toss around the word family and friendship,
and community.
Community, it's so cliche now. I feel like, like I was telling you, if your son came to me and is like, hey, I want to learn about this, why not, right? Because maybe if I have a son and I pass away, maybe your son is gonna give my son an opportunity when he's older. Mm-hmm. You don't know. The world's crazy, man.
It is.
Favo, his son, even he tells me all the time, it's crazy how much he opens up to you, because he doesn't open up to anybody like that. And I feel like, I embrace his son and Mario's sons and everybody's kids, because I feel like right now I'm like the cool uncle, you know what I'm saying? But what if I come up missing and my kid, sometimes, maybe my kid is going to grow up and is going to walk up to his son and he's like, hey man, can I have a job? And his son could be like, your dad did so much for me without wanting to and just did it. Yeah. Then why would I not provide you a job? You know what I mean? Why would I provide you an opportunity to learn? And I feel like that's what it is. Like community is so loosely thrown out there. We really don't support. We just had a crazy story. Right before we got here, Bushwick Bill walked into the store.
I saw that. That's cool. He was just in the hospital too.
Yeah. But the crazy thing is and I kind of knew it was gonna happen. Bushwick Bill, Rap-A-Lot did a collaboration with Supreme. Supreme, one of the shirts that they chose was the Ghetto Boys album cover. Mm-hmm. And he had a record. He's like, I got to get him to sign it. So he signed it.
So he just strolled in.
Yeah, he walked in. And he saw the album he signed it from. And I almost nudged this fool over and be like, don't mention the whole Supreme thing, because they're notorious for fucking people over, right? Yeah. Excuse the language.
Supreme.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
copyright infringement.
So we take him to the back of the store where he has a Ghetto Boy shirt. And he's like, man, fuck Supreme, man. I didn't see a penny from that. Yeah. And right then and there, I was like,
knew it.
Yeah. Then I was like, do you live in Houston? And he's like, nah, man. This place, I wanted to do so much for the city, and the city turned their back on me. Nobody believes in community here. He's like, I couldn't live here anymore, man, because I gave this city 20 years of my life, and I put on for the city as if it was mine, and it only repaid me in now I'm nobody. I walk down the street. Not that he's I shouldn't be commended or nothing like that. But even in their own city, people don't accept me.
Yeah, you would think that people would recognize.
Well, I think the word community has kind of changed for me too. Even we used to be called Break Free Community Center. Yeah. Now we're Break Free Hip Hop School, and it doesn't mean that we don't put the community in mind first. I just learned that, ironically, on paper, it sounds good to want to do something for the community. Yeah. But more often than not, that is not something that you're going to get in return. Yeah. And what I found is that if you stick true to virtues honoring your family, being a noble person, being a noble man, being a noble woman, being an honorable person, a human being, that in turn contributes to the community, and you become a pillar of your community that way.
Being a human being, just being a good human being.
That contributes to the community.
That contributes to everybody. Because more people than none.
Yeah. I 1,000% agree.
Bro, how much...
And I've learned too, interrupt, but I've also learned to watch out for people who preach about community, because they could be a wolf in sheep's clothing, because they could preach about community and this and all this, but they have different agendas, and they're really looking out for themselves.
I think now, it's also because I know how to navigate around there, you know, so many people, they want to use the store for like listening parties or, you know, promo activations or whatever activation, right? And the first, like, whenever they're like, yo, we want to build with you, whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what's the budget? Because to me, I already know what they want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're like, well, what do you mean the budget? And I was like, yo, like, you're trying to build, like, these bills don't pay themselves, man. Like, I don't get Instagram likes to pay my bills. Like, I can't trade that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not trade cards. I can't get 10,000 likes for $1,000 for my rent.
Yeah.
That doesn't translate. That's not a transaction that's possible. So, like, how could we do this? That's when somebody comes up to me and says, hey, let's try to make this together. This is my budget. Then I know their intentions are at least pure because they're at least putting it on the table. Not to say that everything's about money, obviously, but,
No, but
you know,
it's a sign.
If you don't know
It's
somebody
a
and the first thing they want to do is use you
symbol.
and use your space
Yeah.
without them bringing anything in return, then how could I feel comfortable me giving you my time and my efforts? Because people like you come with resources. Like, you're not just going to get David's creativity. You know, you're going to get my team. My team is going to get involved.
sure.
My sponsorship is going to get involved. Like, we bring a lot more than just David. Like, you're not using just the tipping point. You're using me, my context, my
An
people.
example I can bring up, like some of the dopest feelings I've had is like when the people closest to me, like when I design a shirt and I sell it, and then Moy pays full price, even when I tell him no, like, I want to give this to you for free, Moy. He's like, no, here, throws the money in my face.
Yeah.
Like, pretty disrespectful. He threw the money in my face, but
I would
the gesture of it is like, yo, he's my friend. He knows he doesn't have to pay for this, but he values me as an artist, as a creative, so he's gonna pay full price, and vice versa. You know, like if people are out there and you have a friend that's a photographer, and like you know, you're like, oh, I have a birthday party coming up for my little girl. I need a photographer. Oh yeah, I know that guy. He's one of my good friends. I'm gonna hit him up for a hookup. You know, like how much doper would it be if you're like, yo, I value your photography. My little girl's birthday's coming up. Here's $200 to come and shoot. Like, that's more valuable than looking for hookups.
I'm just gonna put a disclaimer out there. I know how much you pay for the thrift shit, so
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, that's true, man. Like, I've been doing it for a while, and like, I've never. I love to give free stuff away, man. Like, to the homies, I always hook them up, and I don't expect anything in return, but it's rare when somebody does give me something in return. Like, Jeremy's like probably one of the only ones that's ever given me, like, found his shirt, and he's like, yo, you like it? Boom, here you go. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's rare nowadays for that to happen. Like, but I'd rather I feel uncomfortable.
I told you that shirt was free. I've been expecting that money for now.
I want to support my homies. Like, yo, how much is it? Yeah, let's do it. Let's pay for it.
and he really is a supporter. Like, even with us, like, I mean, he gets an employee discount in the store, but before that, like, he was like, yo, here you go. Like, he never hesitates to support. And I think that's when you're willing to pay for your friend's talent, then that's when you're supporting, right? Like, when you're, I mean, what are we doing if we're not supporting each other? And support is also another word that's like, okay, so if you support me, what would you want to use my space and not offer anything? Like, at least, like, yo, here's for the light bill, my G, something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it never happens. It happens very seldomly. And shout out to the people that do it. Shout out to the people that really understand what community is and what support.
And on that note, just shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I know there's been some stuff coming in. I just want to read, Lucia, she said, super humble dudes, much love to them. Both for setting the bar high in fashion and business. You got Deshaun Jackson says, so proud of my big bro. Been raising the bar in the city for a while. Salvador Salazar, I'm here for support. Mike Oliveira, I don't know who those dudes, I don't know who are those dudes, but it doesn't matter. It's always nice to see different people with different ideas.
Now you know.
And he says, I'm a kid of 21. Deshaun says, the young kids don't want to put in 10,000 hours to truly master something. If it hasn't hit in a year, they quit and go on to. And Michael says, this podcast is awesome. Zeke, Sunker Punch is gone. And
shout out Sucker Punch. As you being employed.
So, you know, it's cool to have people watching in and just kind of,
shout out to everybody.
Shout out to everybody tuning in. But, you know, I know we've gotten deep into, you know, where you guys come from, where you guys are going, where you're at now. But, you know, talking about fashion, did you guys bring any items that you guys want to share? Because
personal favorites.
Even people like here watching, you know, in the studio.
Shout
like,
out to our live audience.
Yeah, watching, it's like, you know, you think thrift store and you think about any T-shirt,
random,
you know, but there's like certain items that you guys are finding that, you know, it's crazy to say it, but you find for $1 or $2 and it could be worth 500. I remember Fabricio told me that he sold a jacket for like $1,500 or something like that. You know, so that's crazy. You know, if you can find something for $2 and sell it for $1,500. I know one time you told me you bought a jacket off some guy's back.
Yeah,
he didn't even know what he had on.
It's framed now.
It's at the store.
Yeah, you know, so some of these pieces are really, really rare and worth a lot of money. So this thrift game is on another level. So you guys have anything to show?
Yeah. You gonna go ahead and get it?
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's a geek for something. Like, there's fools out there that are probably paying for somebody's fingernails. You know what I'm saying? Like, just shit. The word's weird, but
I pay some
the fingernail game
my
is
wife's
real.
eyelashes.
they collect eyelashes now. You see what I'm saying?
Happens.
It's different,
The fingernail and
Shout out
eyelash.
to my wife.
Fingernail eyelash game is real out there, bro.
bro. They be those girls. I'm like, yo, I should become a makeup artist or something, man.
Eyelashes.
They
As
banking.
much as we pay.
Yo, we got some
So
fire.
what we got here, bro?
Got some fire.
This is an example of like true come ups right here.
You can tell he
And
really
if-
loves
and if
faded
you don't-
faded black tees.
Oh, man.
You don't have to say what you found it for, but I want the value of the shirt to be said because I want people to.
How much is worth? Like
Yeah, I
resale
want
value?
people to see like what
How
this
you can
shirt is
come
going
up.
for.
They'll be like, how you can come up.
It's free game right here.
Right.
All the parents are gonna go to Value Village after this.
So the first one is gonna be like a Grateful Dead team. Grateful Dead is known
crazy.
for like their tie-dye game, I want to say, but this is one of like the rare ones out there because it's not on the tie-dye and it's still an all-over print. One of my favorite shirts, man. It's super loud.
That's a sick.
Can I have this?
see
The
that.
work,
Employee discount.
I want to say I've seen those go for like $200.
$200.
Yeah, 200.
Hey, Jeremy,
Maybe
put that
more. I
back there?
don't know.
Let me see it though.
That's a fire.
Chicago Bulls rap tee style.
Explain what rap tees are for people that don't know.
Rap tees were, I don't want to claim that I'm like the vintage expert. I just get stuff that's dope, man. But from what I know, rap tees are like the bootlegs of back in the day, like at the concerts, people would just make bootlegs, flea markets, parking lot. They used to call them parking lot tees.
Parking lot
They were
tees.
sold for like $5 in the 90s. Right?
Yeah, nobody wanted those back in the day. Nobody wanted those, but they created this like print where it's like loud and it's
Colorful.
big fonts and
Obnoxious.
front and back. Like that's the rap.
That's
tee
the rap style.
Yeah.
And these are probably like one of the hottest like
Yeah.
items like in the vintage fashion
Right.
scene,
How
right?
much does this go for?
Rap tees.
That one's not too much. Maybe like 100, maybe less.
I got
These are not. These are just my
cash.
opinion prices. They're not like set or anything, man. Another rap.
But you
tee.
know the market, so you're
Yeah, that's something
you know,
that I would probably
market
budget at.
value.
But this is
Went to
dope.
Excel. Shout out to the homies at Balti. I got this one from their store there out of San Antonio. That's the cool thing about this venture of mine. I got to meet a lot of cool people, man. Like I love it. Like the community, so dope. The vintage culture.
This is also a rap style.
Yeah,
tee.
yeah. And just so you know, man, like the fade, the wear makes this shirt 10 times better, man. Like I love like that faded wear, even if it has holes. Like
Yeah,
it just
that's
makes that
crazy.
shirt 10 times. Somebody would probably see it and be like, "That's an old shirt. It's faded or whatever." But
Send it
it's-
over here.
Right?
We'll buy it.
This next one, man, one of my first like biggest hype finds, man. I found this one at the thrift. So actually my homie Ronnie's the one that found it, and he was like calling me away around the store and stuff. But this is the ones we first found. This is an original rap tee.
Another rap tee.
Yeah, with
Wow.
Puffy, No Way Out has Biggie on there, and then in the back, all about the Benjamins.
What's-
Super dope shirt, man.
What's that worth?
Man,
This is a
Two or
big
three,
ticket
right?
item right here.
Two
Yeah.
or three.
maybe 3 or more, man. I
Yeah,
would
3.
say. Yeah. And
3
then-
on up.
3 on up. Another rap tee. This was not really the rap style tee like the other ones, but it's still considered a rap tee. We just came up on this one. This one will be available soon.
Okay.
And then this is like the grill of my personal grill, the Machiavelli
Wow.
OG rap style tee.
What does that go for? Like 4 or 5?
3 and up, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rap tee.
So how many T-shirts you got?
That was
there?
right there.
That's about what?
5, 1, 2.
It's about $1,200 maybe.
Yeah, so you got about $1,200 worth of T-shirts that were probably somewhere between 85 cents and
Yeah.
$1.50.
$5. man.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
I think that rap tees are a good example though. It's funny like
Hey, can I have? I need to pay my mortgage.
like if you really look at those, they're super dope. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna stand the test of time. Like they're
Exactly.
gonna be ill 20, 40, 80 years from now.
Right.
But at the time in the 90s when they were sold, they were overlooked.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it makes you think like, why was it overlooked? Like you could go back and it was what was popping back then.
I think
it was $5 at flea market, so it was sold there, so people overlooked it. Oh, $5 at the flea market, you know.
I think they were overlooked because they were bootlegs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like people were like, "Oh, I want the real stuff. I don't want I want the real like from the concert or whatever." And these are parking lot tees, so you know they're like, "Oh, it's fake. You know, it's not the real deal."
20 years later, and that's
so now
valuable.
So Fabricio, we know you showed some of your tees. David, looks like you got these are your sneakers here.
Yeah. This is just like I kind of wanted to give a kind of like really make people understand what it's like to really be into sneakers, like, and kind of like I want to say the evolution, kind of like.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring some Jordan 1s, but I didn't know which one to bring because like literally my favorite sneaker is the Jordan 1.
Mm-hmm.
So instead I brought some of my kind of like favorites that, not necessarily favorites, but kind of like to explain like the hype of the evolution of like when I started collecting shoes and what it was like to be really an exclusive shoe, you know, versus what exclusivity.
Well, before you show, let's talk about what you got on your feet.
Oh yeah.
Because I know these just came out. This is a Nike Fear of God collaboration, and I want to say they retailed for what, $300, $200 or $300.
It was like $360 out the door.
Yeah, which is it's considered high already, but now they have a value of anywhere between $800 to $1,000 or so.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. Yeah.
So that's crazy.
So and
3 times as much.
Yeah.
And what I like about this is that there was only 27 pairs that made it to Houston. You know what I'm saying? So that to me, that's really what it's like to, like for a sneaker fiend like me to like really. I was like, yo, I gotta have, and I only buy stuff that I want. I don't buy stuff that I, that I'm gonna resell. I'm not a sneaker reseller. Like when I get a sneaker, is like because I probably really do like it and I'm gonna keep it.
And he wears it.
And I wear all my people are flipping out and taking pictures of me because I'm like riding my motorcycle with these things and they're like, yo, like that's $1,000. I was like, yo,
we breaking.
It's
breaking
like
all
I'm breaking all my Yeezys.
Yeah, but I bet you get a lot of people like, yo, why you
all the
breaking
time. All the time. I get screenshots sent to me like, what's your problem? Like, what's your problem? They're just shoes.
So back in the day, when I was in the kitchen still, my cooks would I caught a couple of my cooks like kind of snapping me, and one day I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, oh, nothing. And then I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, yo, we didn't want to tell you, but every weekend, like during brunch, like we always argue about what sneakers you're gonna wear. So we had this like hashtag going for you. It was like chef kicks, because like you're the only chef that we know that has like Yeezys in the kitchen or like Jordans in the kitchen. Like, and I'm like, yo, it's all about comfort for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As I get older, being in the kitchen, my back is taking an ass whooping, so I need to be comfortable. So that was funny to me. But like I said, to me,
get into these kicks.
So to me, like, I hear the word like exclusive being thrown around. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like people really don't know the sneaker game to be saying, oh, what is exclusive and what's not. But one of my, I want to say he's kind of like one of my big brothers. He gifted me these shoes. But to me, this is when sneakers were like really exclusive, right? When they had like, you know what I'm saying? It's 112 out of 140. Like, this is Nike don't ever make 150 pairs of shoes anymore. That doesn't exist anymore. But see, this is like what it was like to be like exclusive. So it's a 180. These were called the Cactus Cowboy.
Yeah, that's a crazy.
So Travis Scott recently did the Cactus Jacks or whatever, but this whole shoe is like themed, kind of like if you look at the insole, it's like a whole cowboy theme. You know what I mean? Like with the pink, like the prickly pear and the flower, and like the, it's just like a crazy shoe. But this was
worn.
And you want to talk about the value if you know the value?
I don't even think people appreciate this enough. So the value should be more than what I have on my feet right now, just because it's literally 112 of 140, and I mean, in the entire world, like 140 pairs. I don't think nobody that I know has this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me,
I think that's my first time actually seeing one in person.
Yeah. So I feel like seeing this like 112 out of 140, like they don't make things like that. This is back when Nike was really doing special projects, and the box was like the Nike ID box with the suede inside the box, so they won't get scratched and all this stuff. So I think to me, that's kind of like what it is. And a lot of people have seen the transition between art and like sneakers and how artists are collaborating with sneakers. One of my favorite artists is Cause, and not just recently, man. I've been following Cause since I was in college 12 years ago. And just because I also hip-hop, right? One of the elements of hip-hop is graffiti, and he is a graffiti writer. That's how he started. And, just following all that scene back in the day, I fell in love with his style and whatever. So he did these Jordans that I think they're some of the best Jordans around, and just the quality of them, it's like a black, stitching with his like hand style or whatever.
Yeah, and just so everybody watching knows, like Cause is becoming more familiar, kind of to the more mainstream now, because he recently did like a Sesame Street drop with Uniqlo, and so a lot of people are getting their hands on that because they did a lot of it, right? But he's real popular for putting the X's or these like little lines on characters' eyes, and this shoe has it right here in the back.
Yeah.
Crazy, it's a
box.
crazy shoe.
The box too, like everything has like his branding, which I think is cool. That Nike is allowing this kind of stuff to happen. You know what I mean? Like other stuff.
Super cool.
So
and hip hop, graffiti writer.
Look at that,
working with Jordan Brand.
That's crazy. Now he's about to.
Level.
The crazy thing is that he's about to drop a project with Apple.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, yo, from graffiti, from doing Subway like posters to like doing sneakers to like doing Apple products. Like, who would have thought? You know what I'm saying? Like, hip hop would take it this far. And then this is to me what everybody feels like. Like, to me this is hype. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I appreciate this dude for what he's doing and how he's like breaking barriers in the fashion world, but this is what people think is like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like this is the shoes.
Like these.
It's the same guy. It's the shoe.
But they're all dope though.
Yeah. I mean,
but people think just because they get a hold of one of these, they think it's like super special.
Yeah.
It's dope. And it's hard
super
to
dope.
get,
but to me, this is kind of the evolution of like the sneaker game. It went from like when I was coming up, like one of 50, one of 140, one of 200 was really special, right? Because you think about how many people are in the world, like, and you were the one of 150 to have this. Yeah. That's really what was special. And now it's translated to things like this.
It's a good spectrum.
What I like about sneakers is I love technology in sneakers. That's why I keep 11. That's why I buy sneakers. Because of the technology. Like the technology in sneakers is really what keeps me like buying new shoes. Like
innovative.
For example, I mean, when Air Forces came out, man, who would have thought they were gonna be that material, right? That light. Because them shits are like wearing Timberlands, you know what I mean? Like the OG ones.
I was telling you, I was like, man, I actually like the way they feel, because I thought I was a little hesitant, about buying it. But I was like, I like them. They're light. They feel good. They're more comfortable than Air Forces I had in the past.
Exactly. And that's to me, that's what keeps it good. That's why I bought this shoe, just because, I don't know, like seeing Jerry Lorenzo, who's the guy that owns Fear of God, being a model for like brands in LA, to seeing what he's doing with Nike now and not budging on what he wanted to do and chasing and continue to push the envelope on like, yo, like I want to do my own shape of shoe or else I'm not working with Nike. Like that was his argument, and I think that's super cool that you fight for something that you want and you don't compromise. You continue with the vision. One thing that I'm always really humbled by is when other people vouch for me. Like, for example, Bun, one day I had a project that I was going to do with this brand from out of the city, or from out of Houston, and the guy reached out to me. He's like, hey, man, I reached out to Bun and I asked about you. He said, I like David because he's never sold out his concept. What he says about his concept is what it is, and he doesn't change it for nobody. He doesn't dumb it down.
No compromise.
It is what it is. Like, that's his. He's not going to change it for you. And I feel like that's, to see Jerry Lorenzo push the envelope in this shoe, I think that's super cool. You know what I mean?
Hip hop artists have kind of always been the ones to do that. You know, you look at Kanye. Like Kanye had his deal with Nike, and then he X'd that out because it wasn't giving him the complete freedom that he wanted.
But Jerry,
that with Adidas.
Jerry touched up on that when they did an interview with him. He's like, after, because they were like, yo, what was it like to work with Kanye? And whether we agree with what Kanye does or says is completely different than. I like to separate
as a fashion designer.
Or like an artist, like an artist, right?
Yeah.
I don't agree with half of the shit he says anymore, or mostly all of the shit he says nowadays. But I can't take away what he's done for the culture, for the hip hop culture. So when they interviewed Jerry, and they're like, "What was it like to develop with Kanye like this?" And he was like, "Yo, it's crazy because of him, I'm able to do this."
Exactly.
Like, whether we like to call him crazy or not, he still kicked the door down for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he's like seeing how hard he fought for his deal with Nike, and not give the respect that Nike should have given him.
He
and
set
they
the standard.
and then he jumped ship,
And
now
Virgil.
I mean, you can
example
even
of
see
that
the
too.
influence. I mean, even when I saw that shoe, it kind of reminds me of a Yeezy 1, Yeezy 2 kind of resemblance.
So when people, so many people are so quick to like jump when the slandering is going on, and somebody said, "Yo, so is the Yeezy vibe finally over?" And I was like, "Do you still wear off-white?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Then it's not over because that's all his sons.
Yeah.
Like literally everybody that's hot right now, Kanye birthed
Kanye
him.
brought everybody up.
And that's the
even in music too.
and that's like I think that is community, like to be able to bring somebody that you believe in, like, yo, that's my people.
Well, Virgil's story is also crazy too. He went from doing graphic tees to head of menswear at Louis. It's crazy.
But all possible because of
Yeah.
and it only takes one person, man.
Do you find, Jeremy, with your brand, do you find inspiration from like that culture of the fashion world?
Yeah, man. I credit me getting into the vintage game to me getting into fashion. Like I've always been into it, like second-handedly through break-in, through art. But me getting into the vintage game, reselling really sparked a passion for me with fashion and made me really go into the big house brands, but also the more underground, luxury brands. And yeah, I find the current movement of people like Jerry Lorenzo, Virgil Abloh, Heron Preston, people like that, like I think those guys are the real true innovators, and we'll look back like 20, 30 years from now, like these are the guys that revolutionized and changed the game.
And that's why, you have those people who say, like, man, I'm not going to pay, $100 or $300 for a tee or whatever. And then you got some of us who probably will do it because we appreciate the art behind it. It's not just the name, you know what I mean? You appreciate the whole story, Yeah. Like I know for me, it's just, I'm like you. I like to wear everything. Like I don't care if it's mud outside. Like I'm down. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it can be washed, it can be clean, or you can get another one.
Right.
And the cool thing is that to me, like whenever these things came out, literally the next day I put them on my feet.
Yeah.
People are like, yo, you're not gonna sell them. I was like, yo, anything that I buy, I'm gonna wear for like 2 months, and then I'm gonna throw it in my closet and forget about it. And then it's gonna come back sometime whenever I'm
like 2 years or 3 years later, you can be like, man, I don't wear those. Man, get rid of them.
And I mean the same thing. Like when people are talking about Yeezys, like one Yeezy special to me because Don C sent me a pair because I worked with Don C before, and that was a cool experience. And he gave me a pair of shoes from the very first Yeezy drop, and that'll stay there. I mean, I might not necessarily wear it right now, but
the Nikes.
That I had those when that's just I just had, I think, like, remember when I had posted a picture, like, y'all remember you posted a picture? I had like 3 Solars and like 2 Red Octobers because I really was into the, and then I eventually let them go because I was like, I'm done with this sneaker game, all this reseller. And I was like, nah, I'm not going nowhere. I wish I didn't sell those shoes, you know what I mean? But, but it is what it is. I mean, things come and go. And I think this shoe is special because it's his first push with Nike. And I saw how hard he worked because 2 years ago we went to Complex Con and he was supposed to release some Vans when those Vans, those Fury got them. And there was supposed to be an activation at Complex Con, and they were like, if you want to do the Nike project, I want to suggest you release them there because you're going to hurt like the Nike brand. And he did, and he pulled back, and he released them at the Union store. So it's cool to see like how hard he's working, how he's not willing to compromise what he believes in.
But I've learned, just like with what can be true for every other art form, and the same thing with fashion, is like you can't approach breaking or fashion or music as something that's anything else that's not natural and coming from within you. Like if you're throwing on a fit, you can't like. It's almost like the thin line between inspiration and stealing, and biting. Like if you're throwing on a faded black tee because you saw Kanye doing it, or if you get cornrows because of that, like that's not something that comes. That's where you're not an artist and you're just a fan. You know what I mean?
Recently, I posted on IG like, be careful when somebody comes up to you and say, "Hey, man, you really inspire me. It's really inspirational." It means like, quote unquote, I'm gonna copy your shit and I want to do it.
It could be innocent though too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
malicious
sometimes, like I've learned through my experiences that a lot of times it's not wholeheartedly, and sometimes. Like, I remember, like, I have a couple of homies that I have a brand with that they've been able to include me in. The brand is called Preneur. Shout out to because they helped me with designs of the store, you know what I mean? So we kind of created this brand that they created the brand and they brought me into the brand to kind of, give my ideas and release through my creative through there with them. And it's funny because we did like a belt, and then next thing you know, like 2 or 3 kids have the exact same. You know, it looks half-as done. It looks like a home project, but it's still, you can tell that what we were doing, somebody was just trying to do it. And I'm like, yo, be careful when somebody says like, I'm inspired by you, because sometimes, you know, it could be wolf in sheep's clothing. You know what I mean?
Straight up. And more often than not, too, you like the person who started it won't get the proper credit that they deserve. You know.
No, they won't, and that's so with shops or whatever. I feel like shops is also like vintage. Like I feel like now the cool thing to do is to, I'm gonna open up a shop. You know, I see so many shops popping up, and I'm like, man, it sucks because it's like watering down like what we've built, what we've been trying to do for so long. And with that, you know, I always tell people, you know, my shop, I feel like I've been doing it for so long, but with this shop, because we did take a 1.5 year break, we didn't think we were gonna reopen. I didn't want to reopen, but my business partner asked me like, yo, and then I saw the new space. I was like, yo, we have to do something here. Yeah. But we were considered top 100 shops in the world for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah,
man,
that's crazy.
It was this magazine, Kyle TD magazine. I don't think it's no longer published, but they used to. It was a European magazine, so you used to read it backwards. And they used to do like 100 shops in the world, and for all these
magazines, apparel, like fashion.
For all these shops for all these covers, there was an artist behind the covers. So Futura did this one, Andre did this one.
That's super dope.
A-Life did this one. So, you know, we were in all these magazines, like pretty much like, and at the time, you know, we did put other shops another shop in Houston in there because they came up to us first, like, yo, do you guys even have shops like this? And we included other people, you know what I mean, try to make Houston like what it is. But people don't understand, like, this is like my pedigree, right? Like that for so many years, and like 2007 to 2011, we were like considered top 100 shops in the world. And that was here in Houston, Texas, and not many people know that, you know what I mean? So,
well, hopefully soon it's top 5, top 10. You know, we got to start somewhere.
We got to go. We back on the grind, man.
The website is thetippingpointstore.com. Right?
Yeah, it is thetippingpointstore.com.
Your Instagram, David_Tippin, and then there's another one for the store, right?
Yeah, the Tipping Point Store, at the Tipping Point Store.
At the Tipping, and then for you, Fabricio?
It's called Roundhouse_Vintage, Roundhouse together, and we're located inside of the Tipping Point store. We're actually in the back. So like, I like to, not just because I'm a part of the team or anything, but I feel like we're not only providing good quality stuff, we're also providing a good shopping experience, which I feel like it's not many stores out there that provide that.
Man. How did that come together? I seen the picture, I was like, damn, like on top honestly, of what y'all have at Tipping Point, it's like, it looks crazy. Your store in the back, it looks like a whole separate vibe, but still kind of fits under the same classy streetwear.
I was lucky enough, like we helped with the build out. So I got to see it from the ground up, you know. So like seeing all the work they put into that. When he approached me with the store, I'm like, yo, I can't come just whatever, put stuff on the wall and let's go. Like I had to come out correct, and I everything that goes in the store is not only curated by me, but it's curated by David. Yeah. So like I just threw him ideas. He's like, yeah, let's do this. No, let's not do that. And we've had our we butt heads sometimes, and we're like, yo, I want to put this in the store.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah. That's why like I want to say where it's the heavily curated store. Yeah. And like I knew the layout of the store had to be match. Not necessarily match, but flow with the original Tipping Point store, because it's a very nice store. Yeah. Once you go in there, and we just came up with that concept and trying to keep it very minimal, put like just really good pieces on the wall and a good layout, presentation, a good vibe, and everything that flowed with.
Well, I think everybody here knows that you guys are killing it, man. I think that I know you don't consider yourself an OG, and maybe David, you don't consider yourself as this person, but I think that a lot of people are looking at you guys as examples, you know what I mean? And I see this stuff, and just you can tell how much someone cares by the photos they put out. Yeah. Not so much about the quality of the brands that you guys hold, or the way the place looks, but just a simple, when someone cares about a photo that they put out, you can only imagine what it's like being there. You know what I mean? That's why when everything is consistent, there's a lot of people that are inconsistent of how they present, who they are, and what their business, how their business operates. But you guys have been pretty consistent. And I think everyone here knows that, So you guys are definitely, people to follow. You guys are killing it, man. And we appreciate you guys, like, coming out here and sharing your stories. These type of conversations can go hours.
Yeah, for sure.
Hours, man. You know, and so just having the little bit amount of time that we have and going that deep, you know, we appreciate it. You know, we appreciate it, and we wish we could share so much. I don't know if you have anything, but like I just want to say thank you guys for taking time out of your day.
If you're in Houston, check out the store, man. If you're gonna cop vintage, go check it out. Roundhouse.
Yeah, we're located in downtown Houston. It's 214 Travis Street, Suite A. So it's the Tipping Point store and Roundhouse Vintage in the back, man. Come check us out.
Could you give both of you guys lasting advice if you had a message for young entrepreneurs, artists out there? What would be the kind of summary of what you would give to somebody who's doesn't have to be in the fashion game? It could be just young artists, young entrepreneurs in general.
I think, like I stated before, man, like just do it, have fun with it, man, and just keep. If you really have a passion for it, just keep being consistent and don't give up, man. Like I feel like really passion with your dedication eventually is going to turn out good, man. If you dedicate yourself and you have passion for it, then your outcome's going to look great, in my opinion.
Yeah. I just, I guess my would be, if you really believe that you want to do something, like don't wait till somebody else. Like if you feel it in your heart, then just do it, man. Sometimes it's as simple as just getting up and doing it.
First step.
And then like the wheel just turns. Like, you know, when we reopened the store, we were closed for 1.5 years, and I honestly I didn't care to reopen, because through my other culinary career, I was doing really good. I did the Anthony Bourdain show with Anthony Bourdain. I was in a book that my homie Marco put me in. Shout out to Marco. And I was doing pretty good, but when I saw the space, I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to open the store. And it literally happened like that. I was like, and he just kind of took a turn, and he just kept going and going and going until I was like, all right, cool. The time to pay for the shit's here. So I was like, here you go. It's in good faith, man. Like, and you know, just if you believe it, just do it. Don't wait. That's it. Just take that leap, man.
It's important.
Yeah.
Follow your dreams, follow your passion.
So be sure to check out tippingpointstore.com, Roundhouse Vintage, Tipping Point Store on Instagram. Next week we're going to be announcing who's on the show next week, but shout out to our sponsor, Monster Energy and Houston Media Source. Before we end, you'll see a quick commercial from Houston Media Source. They're responsible for everything looking good here in our cameras, so shout out to them. Been doing work in Houston forever. And on behalf of everyone here at Break Free, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you guys for having me.
And normally we do a fun part of the show, but I think the conversation was so deep that I didn't want to stop it, you know. And I think the information that you guys were sharing, the stories you guys were sharing, which is so good that, you know, there's always that time to have fun and play, but it was just so good that I didn't want to cut it, you know. And so again, we appreciate you guys coming out, man. So thank you guys. Make sure you follow these guys' movement and what they're doing in the city of Houston, man.
And if you're on the south side, don't go to any thrift stores, because that's Fabricio's territory, all right?
Plus, he got everything already.
Sorry.
Come to the store. Just go shop at the store.
Yes, sir. Episode number 12, Break Free Worldwide podcast here at headquarters. We signing out. Much love, fellas. Thank y'all.
Appreciate y'all.
Have you ever wanted to have your own TV show? We can make that happen at Houston Media Source. When you walk in the door, all you need is an idea. We have everything you need. Studios, cameras, lights, microphones, and more. All professional quality and state-of-the-art. Get started by attending one of our free orientation sessions every Monday at 6 p.m. at our studios at 410 Roberts near Minute Maid Park. Get more information online at hmstv.org. Make your voice heard with Houston Media Source.